The final way of solving a quadratic inequality is algebraically, again, most common the way I'll do it. And you would solve it just like you would a quadratic equation. So the methods you could use are completing the square, factoring, quadratic formula, using square roots. Again, I always want to check to see if you always want to check to see if you can factor it first, but it has to be equal to 0 or less than or greater than or equal to 0. It has to be set to 0 before you guys can factor it. So let's just move the 4 over to that other side, and now we have x squared minus 3x minus 4 is less than 0. So can we factor x squared minus 3x minus 4? What multiplies to get us x squared, x and x? What multiplies to get you 4? Either 2 and 2 or 4 and 1, but we want 4 and 1. We want minus 4 plus 1 to add to get us that negative 3. So what happens, it's not necessarily x equals negative 1 now and x equals 4, but we have boundary points at those values. So we have a boundary at negative 1 and a boundary point at 4. So, on your number line, so 0, negative 1, negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's just less than, so they're both going to be open. We just have to figure out, are the solutions inside of there or are the solutions outside of there? So all we have to do is just test a single point. So let's just test 1. So if we plug in the x value of 1, we get 1 squared minus 3 times 1. Is it less than 4? So we're testing this point right here, positive 1. So 1 squared is 1, minus 3 times 1 is negative 3. So is negative 2 less than 4? Yes. So that means that's where your solutions are. You don't need to test a point in every single section, because if you would have tested a point out here, it would have been false, so you would know that the outside is not the solution. And just like before, your inequalities are either going to both point the same direction out or both point the same direction in. They're not going to be going like both to the right or both to the left. So that's how you guys would solve it algebraically. You would factor it and sort of get the boundary points, not necessarily x equals or x equals this, because it's not a single value. It's a range of values for inequalities. But that's it. If you couldn't factor it, you would have to use the quadratic formula or another method. But always check to see if you can factor first.